Karate friends, welcome to Classics in Color, your weekly dive into some of the ancient world's wackiest facts. I'm Mark Graves, and today we will be talking about getting your fortune told in the ancient world. The source for today's video is a great book called Montique, Studies in Ancient Divination. It's a bit technical, but it is very good. So, the most popular way, most likely, to get your fortune told in the ancient world was through sorties. So sorties basically just means lots. So you could either draw lots or you could cast dice. In some cases, you would have someone else cast the dice for you. So sometimes it would be a child who ideally would be like innocent and unable to influence the dice in any way. So you get your lot or you toss the dice and you get a number, and then you take that number to some sort of sacred text. And this varied quite a bit. So sometimes you would take it to scrolls like the Sibling Scrolls. So these are long scrolls that are full of different little sayings. And depending on your number, you will get a specific saying. Some temples would have big inscriptions that again would be covered in all these different sayings. And so depending on your number, you would get a specific saying. There was a really bizarre case where the Spartans kept the body of the philosopher Epimenides because apparently after this philosopher died, it was discovered that his body was covered in all of these strange, prophetic, mystic tattoos. And so in that case, you would get your number and then that number would tell you which tattoo was your fortune. Later on in antiquity, people started to use actual literary texts. So stuff like Homer, right, the Iliad, the Odyssey, then Virgil's Aeneid, and then even later the Bible. And in fact, people still use this sometimes today, where you either get a number or you just open a passage at random, and then you take that to be a little prophecy meant for you at that moment. Then outside of more formal religious contexts, there were also people who sort of operated more on their own. They operated professionally, so they were just professional fortune tellers. The book calls them Oraclemongers. And people like this would usually have a set of books that would have all of their answers that they could give to people. So one of these books was the Sorties Ostrom Psyche, and this worked a little bit like those cootie catchers, if you remember from when you were children, in that there are only 10 questions that you can ask the Oraclemonger, and each of them has a number. So say you pick question 6, you then pick a number to add to that. So you say you pick 5, now your number is 11, and then the Oraclemonger will go look up in his book what is the answer that goes with number 11, and then he'll read that to you. And usually these are pretty generic things that could be applied to anyone, right, and could be interpreted to fit any circumstance. So some examples are: if you are wise about uncertainty, beware lest things become certain. Ooh. And another one is: happily and spontaneously ask for what you shall be given. You shall be forever happy. So even in the ancient world, people were often skeptical of these oracle mongers, and we have a great story from Apuleius where he kind of mocks them, pokes fun at them, and writes a very exaggerated account of an oracle monger where they just have this one sors unica, or this one fortune that they tell to everyone. So his story goes: after they had stayed there just a few days, fattened at public expense and stuffed with the many profits of their soothsaying, those chaste and holy priests devised for themselves a new sort of business venture. They wrote out a single prophecy that would fit many circumstances and used it to fool the many people who came to consult them about various matters. The prophecy read as follows: yoke the ox, plow the land, high the golden grain will stand. So again, just a very general, ethereal statement that you could interpret to fit basically anyone or any circumstance. So there you have it. There is my fortune that I tell to all of you. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Special thank you, as always, to subscribers and to Patreon members, and I hope to see all of you again next week. Karate.